Hello and welcome to Virtual Investor Conferences. My name is Tim Regan, and on behalf of Water Tower Research, we're very pleased you have joined us for our AI and Technology Hybrid Investor Conference. Our next live presentation comes from OneSoft Solutions, Inc. Please note that you can submit questions for the presenter in the box to the left of the slides. You can also view the company's availability for one-on-one meetings through the Schedule Meetings tab found on the conference platform. At this point, I'm very pleased to welcome Brandon Taylor, COO of OneSoft Solutions, Inc., which trade on the OTCQB under the symbol OSSIF and on the TSXV under the symbol OSS. Welcome, Brandon.
Thank you, Tim, and glad to be back again this year at the OTC. It's really exciting to be able to present the story to the audience. And audience, thank you so much for taking time out and watching the presentation. As Tim said, I'm the President and COO of OneSoft. Before I get started, I thought I'd go over, we're a born in the cloud SaaS solution on the Microsoft Azure cloud platform. We focus in the oil and gas space. We've built a cognitive integrity management, and you'll hear me refer to it as SIM, solution that really focuses on integrity management and really around oil and gas companies. In the US, there's about 2.7 million miles of pipe. About 642,000, 660,000 of that is inspected. If you're a liquid pipeline operator in the US, every 5 years, you have to inspect that pipe. 7 if you're a gas operator. Just before we get started, I'll kind of take you through kind of what we're doing with the data and specifically around machine learning and AI in the space, kind of where we are on that journey. Came out of the Microsoft incubator in 2016. It was their very first data science and machine learning incubator. So we're super proud of what we've done to date. Some metrics here, I'll give you a little bit. Market cap, 97 million, cash on hand, 4.9 million, virtually zero debt, huge insider ownership of 26%. So we're highly invested with all of the investors in the stock as well. Normal disclaimer, include some forward-looking statements, respect, normal here. So just to give you a sense of what we do, reliability standards, we effectively basically help pipeline operators. Our mission statement is to predict pipeline failures, to save lives and protect the environment with the assistance of data science and machine learning. We really help them with their asset integrity programs. And it's very involved process, highly regulated environment under Department of Transportation. The Pipeline Hazardous Safety Material Agency, PHMSA, regulates this industry within the United States. And it's really about reducing their operational risk and accelerating. And you'll see as we get through this presentation, typically about 80% of our customers and the prospects we run into run their integrity management program using leveraging Microsoft Excel pretty extensively. So we're deploying an enterprise-wide solution, SaaS solution that really can start aggregating this. And we like to refer to our solution as a data platform. And that really accelerates that efficiency. And then most importantly is maximizing the cost savings. And I have some slides on that so we can really kind of talk about where we are on that process. Just to give you some historical perspective, we've had consistent recurring revenue growth over the past 30 quarters. We just closed our fiscal year in December, had our calling out was we just closed at 10.4 million in revenue, which was our second year-over-year increase of 50%. And we've given guidance for 2024. In the same range, 15, 16 million, and that 50% increase year over year. I'm very proud of what we're doing within that space. Pipeline miles under subscription, this is a really important metric for us. So we really kind of drive everything around miles under subscription. So we've added a couple lines and we'll continue to update this every quarter. But basically, how many miles are operated by our customers. As a customer has pipeline, some of it they can run tools called inline inspection, pipeline inspection gauges. In the industry, they call those PIGs. Has a bunch of sensors around it. They insert it into the pipe. The product in the pipe pushes it down, they take it out, read those sensors, and it's really looking for anomalies on the wall within the pipe. We do no hardware. We actually aggregate that data into our platform and we align it. They've been running these tools for decades. We align that data. They can't run those tools on all the pipe that they have. So there's other methods that they do, cathodic protection, where they do electrical current along the pipe. And we've started to build modules that can now aggregate that data, chemical injection, internal corrosion, where they can't really run these tools. So it's really important for us to measure this operated miles by customers. There's about 2.7 million miles, of which we have about 260,000 or subscription from our customers today. And then also the Piggable, where they can run these tools, is about 134 of that 642. So you can see we made significant inroads into kind of just the whole ecosystem within the US. And I'll talk about how this is really a global. The US controls about 60% of the miles worldwide, so we have another 40% outside. And we're really starting to focus on trying to go out, rest of the world, Latin America, EMEA. We've just hired our first employee in EMEA to start opening up that market. We were at a conference this week, etc. So we're really focused on kind of the revenue outside of the US as well. This gives you a sense of the customers that run our solution every day. So, these are a couple of super majors. These are Fortune 100, 500 companies, very enterprise customers. And what we've also seen a trend in the industry recently is that there's a lot of consolidation. So we have 15 customers, but that really represents about 20 pipeline operators because our customers have actually acquired other pipeline operators, which is really good. And when they do that, they just onboard their mileage into our solution and our subscription fees go up as a result of that. We've also partnered in industry with CIFR Technologies. That's all about risk. And the industry is moving more to a probabilistic quantitative risk models. We've signed a technology sharing agreement. This is a research organization that's in Canada, owned by the government. I've been doing a lot of research on pipes for decades. We've taken their probabilistic models, embedded them into our solution. We're a managed partner with Microsoft. We're their go-to solution for midstream pipeline operators worldwide. So we work with them very closely on all deals. And then we just released a solution for crack management, which is about looking at cracks on pipelines. And we've taken industry intelligence and Ted Anderson actually is kind of the leader in that forefront. We've embedded his IP into our solution. So all of our customers can get the latest institutional knowledge that's out in industry and just run it operationalize it within their organization through our solution. Just to kind of give you a sense, I mentioned on this, so really to date, just to give you, if you step way back, when we first started, our very first client was Philips. We were their very first SaaS solution in the cloud. Our first 5 customers, of those 4 of them, we were their very first cloud solution. We still run across pipeline operators where we're going through the very first, IT kind of initiatives with Microsoft to kind of get onboarded through the SaaS. 80% of customers and prospects we see run a lot of this process that we replace using Microsoft Excel. So we literally displace thousands of Excel sheets, and then they can supplement other things within Excel on our solution, export it out, import it back in, and all of that stuff. So we really make it, as a Microsoft shop, pretty cohesive on how they do that. Thought it'd be worthwhile just to share a demo. So if we want to start that, and I'll just kind of walk through what our solution does. Software company, really focused on ML, etc. So let's take a look at that. So let's see if we can get that going. Try to get it going. waiting for this to load up. It's worked in the test cycle. All they need is a browser to, and so Edge, a modern browser, Chrome. When you look at it, they basically manage their entire process through it. So which tools am I going to run, these pigs, or different, cathodic protection or hydro, there's different mechanisms for them to basically analyze the pipeline, and then we allow them to we have a Bayesian machine learning model that basically allows them to ingest and classify that data. To give you a sense, to date, we've ingested about 7,100 inline inspection files across all of our customers. So typically when a customer comes on board with us, they'll load all of the historical runs that they've ever ran through decades, as well as every current run. So just to kind of help put that in perspective, we're approaching about 1,000 runs a year coming into our solution every day. There's roughly 450 registered users, and probably on average about 250 integrity engineers. So these are chemical, mechanical engineers that sit at our customers, run the tools, ingest that data, and then they analyze it, compare it back historically. So as they do that, they want to plan it. And again, if you're liquid, it's every 5 years. So you'll have, if you have 1,000 miles of pipe, you're going to inspect 200 of it this year, 200 next, 200 until over 5 years, and then you repeat the cycle. Kind of that's the recurring model on liquid and gas. And rest of the world does different cadences on when they inspect the pipe. But really, we aggregate that data over time. So we have machine learning Bayesian models that basically have ingested it through truth that we've built for industry. It didn't exist before. And then it's learned as new operators basically onboard new customer or their data into the solution. And then what's really nice about the solution is as we onboard new customers, they have an integrity management program. And so as they do that, they have conditions that they've determined over time through as a company, metal loss greater than 80%. So there's PHMSA related ones, and then specifically they'll have ones that we've already incorporated. We'll gap fit those to us, and then what ultimately happens is we will then, if we find gaps, we'll incorporate their IMP into our solution, and then we share that across every customer. So a couple years ago, I think we had 95 different types of conditions, and these are very specific, dent under a sleeve, near a water crop, just very specific things. That allows any pipeline operator that's a customer of ours to do what-if analysis and actually be able to take the expertise and the intelligence and the probably audited conditions from one operator and see if they have anything similar to those types of conditions. And then we manage it all the way through the dig program, and then they capture, go do the excavation, put a sleeve on it, recoat the pipe, cut the pipe out, and then we get all of that data back in. So we're really analyzing that data quite well. Looks like we're having problems with the demo, so I'll just skip it. So the other thing that we're really focused on as we've done these is we're following, Jeffrey Moore's, crossing the chasm model. We believe that we're in that bowling alley stage. We've crossed over the chasm now, and we're really, really focused on building out that whole solution. Last year, our core product is core cognitive integrity management, what we call core SIM. That's that, which tools all the way through the dig program. And then we released last year internal corrosion, which really brought in other data sets, like 3 other core data sets. What chemical am I injecting? The sampling coupons and the sampling pigs. As that data comes in, and we correlate that specifically to that inline inspection. And we're working on external corrosion, risk management, and geohazards, and we just released crack. So that's really, and we got all our customers are working in private preview, and that's really to finish out that whole solution because we can start working up through this tornado. And we're working early majority customers, which are much more pragmatic. They're not the early adopters, but You saw the client list, very referenceable for as large of an industry as it is. It's quite small. We get employees that are our customers go to prospects who then become customers, and it's very referenceable. We just had our first user group conference last October, highly successful. We'll have another one probably double the size of that. But we're really focused in this early majority section, building out the whole solution is where we are right now, around data, which is super important. The other thing in that early majority is they're pragmatic from an ROI cost economics. So for a few years now, we've really focused on the metrics around that. Our kind of go-to-market sales approach is a benefit analysis where we're actually aggregating their existing cost, and whether that's third-party resources doing it, if they built in-house systems, or just efficiency gains. We plug their numbers into our ROI calculator, and then we present back to them return on investment, which includes net present value, internal rate of return. We're really focused on, as we kind of look at pricing, we pivoted there 5 times from when we started. We've now got it down to a single number on a per mile basis. But we're always looking at that in relation to MIRR internally. Because if we can show, modified internal rate of return greater than, say, 20%, it's really helping us. And as we aggregate more data and really start understanding where our cost benefit relates to the willingness, and what we find is we have no competition. It's always us versus what they do today, typically. So really, it's about that cost savings model, and then for us, it's really about change management. That's really the thing that people always ask me, why aren't everybody sign up? These are big, large enterprise organizations. It takes them a while to get through the change process. When they get through it, then it's very, wide, deep moat with lots of white space. And we're really focused on that MIRR as we go. In relation to AI and ML, we really view our platform, I like to say, the Google of integrity management. So we have today about 133 million anomalies that are ingested and that we track across the entire pipeline and network infrastructure in the US and Canada. We have a client in Australia. So really, as we onboard new customers, we've seen 7,100 ILI. I think that's really getting closer to 10,000. We're doing 1,000 a year. We'll continue to add new customers. They're making hundreds of thousands of integrity management decisions. And then what's really important is that we're now bringing in that non-destructive. We've got a volume of data on non-destructives when they go to excavations. 65,000, and that really helps you understand, how well are the tools doing in relation to, am I digging the right stuff, all of that stuff. So what we're really focused on, we continue to do data science experiments. What we want to look for is that prediction factor. This data, this, and this will actually help us reduce that risk and actually get to predictive failure state on the pipeline. In order to do that, our data science team believes that we need not just lots of data, but a diverse set of data: soil, cathodic protection, CIS data, DCV, so all kinds of data sets. Our mode has been today is that we're really aggregating the data. We've already embedded Microsoft's Power BI natural Q&A. How many dents do I have by state? And it automatically knows that nomenclature, and an operator can get the results instantly across 10,000 miles of pipe. We'll really start focusing on embedding Microsoft's Copilot, so we can kind of get to that level of analytics, but we really need to get data to where we need to do that. It's kind of where we're focused on right now. Some investment highlights. First mover advantage. When we first started, we probably had 3 to 5 year head start on just being in cloud. IP from we picked up from Philips and owned that IP. That probably gave us another 3 to 5 years head start. We really don't see anybody in the rearview mirror from a competition perspective. We're scaling this globally and aggregating that process, and we've really horizontal integrity management for the industry. High insider ownership, really historical, ESG kind of mandates related to that. And then the recurring model is we've really felt pretty solid. We really haven't had to pivot on our pricing architecture and framework for 2-3 years now. SaaS agreements been through, every one of these, Fortune, 500, 100 legal departments. Very few red lines on that. The IT, cloud is now fully adopted. Digital transformation is a pretty strong term within industry is moving. And then for us, it really is about data. That's kind of where we're focused is how do we aggregate more data? And hence why that's really kind of the initiative on these new modules that we're building. We want to be able to basically bring as much data into the platform, which basically allows our data science team to build new algorithms that have never been developed in industry. That's kind of where we are. So with that, I think that we've hit a little over 20-minute mark. I'm going to go ahead and open it up for a Q&A. Again, thank you all. And let's take some questions. So John, open these questions up. So first question, I'll just go through as many of these as we can. So we've got quite a few of them. Is true that there are still no legitimate competitors? It is true. We've just, on our last customer that we onboarded, we went through a formal RFP process. They looked at 14 different types of, third party, engineering, we'll build it, those types of things. It really at the end came down to us and an in-house build, right? And that's pretty typical that we see is what we do in-house versus us. We've been to 2 formal ones, one with the super major, same thing. They went out and looked at 11. When we're doing demos and benefit analysis, in our previous lives in software was, okay, vendor A showed this feature. How do you do this feature? We never have those scenarios. It's, what's your business process? How much is it? Let's map out the cost to that. And then we do ROI and then show them how that process would work in our solution. Question, we've been able to raise prices for the software. So up to this point, we are still fully on logo edition kind of mode, right? Our objective is to become the 80% gorilla in the space, right? We want to basically own pipeline integrity in the space. So for us, and secondarily, as a data science machine learning company, data is super important for us. We have to have the data. And we have a really good reputation in industry. In fact, we get other vendors at our trade shows that we go to is how did you get the pipeline operators to give you the data? We've had no resistance on that. We're agnostic. We're not relying on any other tools. So it's like the first time we've really been data agnostic, specifically customer driven. So for us, it's really about logo addition and data. In our SaaS agreements, we do add an innovation escalator. So every year there's CPI or an escalator related to renewals year over year, as well as these modules that we're building are consumption economic models, meaning that as we release new models, it increases our per mile charge. So that happened with internal corrosion. It's just crack management just came out as we release external risk, etc. Some variability is an example on internal corrosion. It's kind of a tiered by mileage. So over time, we are been raising prices. This is a very cost-conscious industry. Remember, they're running Excel, so there's a paradigm to change. 5 years ago, subscription, we had to change our model because people were not quite ready for just recurring subscription models. That's now changed. So yes, we're focused on price. And we do it through innovation escalators and consumption economics. And at some point, we'll just keep evaluating where the market will bear that, mostly in relation to the modified internal rate of return. Question is, what's the TAM for pipeline solutions repurposed for other industries? Yes, so the TAM, we just published that in our MD&A. We actually have a table that breaks it down by solution, so core sim, internal corrosion, etc. And it's as best as we did it like 3 or 4, maybe 5 years ago. We just refreshed that. It's a snapshot in time. We think as we move in internal corrosion, it's kind of what we think the market is, but we learn more every day as we're onboarding new products. Oh, there's another white space thing that we could incorporate into this. So we'll just keep, looking at that every few years to make sure that our TAM. We have, from day one, looked at our solution from water industry. There's a applicability that we've done some early pilots on that. We really need to get into a self-service model, we believe. We've got the pricing and the economics right on it. We need to get into self-service, and it'd probably be focused on mainline, big, large diameter pipeline and water. And then rail is another area from an infrastructure place it's a linear asset with anomalies down the asset. So it's another area that we could look at. We're hyper focused right now just to make sure that the white space that's within where we are, that's our competency. We want to make sure we go and get that. When we reverse split the shares to lower the share count, it's always something that over the years has come up, and I think there's pros to cons to that on both ways. We have discussed that, and we'll continue to look at it. I think there's just different strategies on how we do that. So, but we do bring that to the board, and we do talk about that occasionally. So. Question: at the end of 24, if you didn't add, number of new logos, would you be disappointed? Yes, we're always, so customer acquisition, obviously adding logos is our first and foremost thing. We expected to add more logos last year. Those got delayed. We haven't lost those deals. This is a very laggard industry from a procurement side. Even though we've solved the SaaS agreement, our legal agreement, the IT, it's still change. For organization, and we can even show, really radical ROI, but it's how do we get this embedded? So we spent a lot of time, we just hired a new resource to help with onboarding tools, training tools, to make this faster from that perspective so they can change faster. I'll give you a perspective on our last customer. They signed in September, October. We had to integrate to an existing legacy system. December, they shut that off. January, they went live on our first module. Very significant shortened time frame, but it was still very disruptive to their organization as far as lots of work to do. So yes, we would be extremely disappointed. Hence why we've given guidance where we are, is because we don't believe that to be the case. One of the things that you may want to look at is for those that didn't get to see the demo and you want to see the demo, we would be happy to, so we have them on our website. Just reach out to OTC, and we could reach out and do one-on-ones. Be happy to do some demos on that so you can kind of get a sense on what that's for. Question here is satellite or GPS data involved in the data. So we do bring in the tools that they run on an inline inspection. Typically, they'll do IMU data, which will have X, Y, and Z data. We ingest all of that data in our geohazard work that we're doing in an innovation lab. That's really about that change down the pipe on XY every 4 inches, right? So we're gathering that data, and one of the data science things that we have in the lab is to try to prove if there's pipe movement, and then specifically strain, because I don't know if you follow the industry, there's been some releases around landslide movement, things like that. We're really trying to focus in those areas. Will you have to raise capital? No, the management believes that we have sufficient cash. In fact, our cash increased year over year. One of the beauties about the business and this industry specifically is we figure out what the consumption model would look like at the beginning of a renewal period for the year. And then we get all of our money up front, put into deferred revenue. And then as we operate, as the pipeline customers operate the solution, it moves from deferred to revenue throughout the year. Renewal comes up, we reassess, so we get all of our money typically up front, and then we get that cash. So we have sufficient cash, we believe, to basically operate the business as is. We've done some hires. We don't anticipate any open positions anymore. We'll keep doing that as we onboard new customers. That may change, so we'll see how that is. Okay, I think we've hit time. Appreciate everybody taking the time out today for watching and listening. We do have one-on-ones. I'm going to turn it back to OTC. Please go ahead and feel free to schedule one-on-ones. We'll get the demo so you can see that then. But thank